Well, hello there. Welcome back to Rule of Two Review. My name is Rob, and today let's talk a little bit more about Nintendo. Okay, so I know the internet and YouTube has been doing Nintendo to death. I've pretty much done Nintendo to death, but then again, I'm a gaming channel, and if you know me, you know I'm a huge Nintendo fan, and it's primarily what I cover here on Rule of Two Review. So it doesn't seem like people are getting sick of the subject. I had a really interesting kind of theory or question, a query, so to speak, that I wanted to propose to you guys, to the internet, and to myself, and sort of discuss, because as you know, it's kind of what I do, and when it comes to Nintendo, it's kind of more fun to dissect these sorts of things. So this isn't like a rumor thing. You know, I'm over being, not happy with rumors. I know it's been this crazy thing. Discussing the NX and Nintendo and what might be happening and rumors here and confirmed leaks here and there. I'm kind of over that, so I don't want you to think that that's kind of my purpose here. But this isn't a rumor discussion. This is just a really interesting question, I think, about Nintendo and what may happen. And what we're talking about is, we all know Nintendo has upcoming sometime before the end of the year, the final reveal of the Nintendo NX. We're probably going to get the final name. I don't think that codename NX is going to be the final name of this console. Some people think it might, maybe it will, but whatever it's going to be called, we're going to know what it's going to be called. We're going to know what it's going to look like. We're going to see the controller. We're going to get an idea of launch games. We're going to get a price, an actual specific launch day and date. All of these great things are going to be coming soon. I am super bummed at Nintendo for not bringing it to E3 and showing it off at the show. I think that really sucks. I think it's really unfortunate that they're doing that. But I know that I'm just going to be so excited once they finally decide to reveal the system that I'm just happy to be excited at this point. I just can't wait to learn about the thing. I have complete faith in Nintendo. I think it's going to be a great machine. I think it's going to make us all very excited. I think it's going to make me very excited. Hopefully you guys as well. So that's all great. Fine and dandy. Wonderful. Now, what I'm asking here is, because of the precarious situation that Nintendo finds himself in right now, with the Wii U not being a great hit, with them bringing only one game to E3, and it's a game that is so highly anticipated, but is also now confirmed to be coming to the NX, their next generation machine as well, and they're bringing no other games. They're not having a press conference. We don't know what the hell they're doing. They're so steeped in mystery. Things just don't really seem that great for Nintendo right now. Even though I believe in their future, and I believe that they'll pull through just like they always do, it doesn't seem that great right now. So the question is, coming off of the failed Wii U, going into the Nintendo NX, what would happen if the Nintendo NX also turns out to be a failure? So before I get too deep into this question, let me preface this one sentiment. I don't think it's going to be a failure. You just heard me talking about how excited I am for the machine and the fact that I have faith in Nintendo. I believe in them. I think that they learned a lot from the mistakes that they've made this past generation and with the Wii U. And I think that Kimishima is a great person, so far it seems, to be taking over the company from Satoru Iwata and moving forward, making smarter business decisions for today's modern age and modern gamer, and for the Western audience, which is bigger than the Eastern Japanese audience, admittedly. So I have faith in them, and I have faith in the machine. So this isn't coming from any sort of like doomsayer perspective where it's like, well, I mean, they kind of dropped the ball with the Wii U, and so they're probably going to drop the ball again, and we all know Nintendo, they always screw up. That's not me. I love the Wii U, I love Nintendo, I believe in the NX. But that doesn't mean it's impossible that the system somehow fails. I think there's even, unfortunately, a kind of good chance that it might. You know, there's been a precedence. Maybe they don't learn enough of the right lessons from coming off of the Wii U going into the NX. Maybe they don't take the correct ideas and implement them properly in the Nintendo NX, and whether it just turns out to be not exciting, whether it does too much on mobile side and doesn't feel like a hardcore gaming machine, so a lot of us hardcore gamers don't buy it, or maybe it just doesn't have the third-party support and therefore the machine doesn't sell well, and it's another 14 or 15 million unit selling machine and Nintendo loses a whole lot of money. What if that happens? What would Nintendo do if the Nintendo NX, in the next 3 years down the road, 3 or 4 years down the road, is also the same level of failure that the Wii U was, and maybe Nintendo's not making any money. Maybe they're actually losing money again. We all know that right now they're not like bleeding money in their current state because their software sells so well for the Wii U, and because the 3DS does so well. So Nintendo is still making a profit. They are in the red, and or the black. I always screw that up. I don't know which means positive. They're making money. They're not losing money. They're making money. Even if it's a small amount, they're not losing money like some other companies in the industry. And that's a great thing. But what if the NX becomes the kind of not success that actually ends up with them losing money again, which has only happened a few times in the last couple of years. Typically, Nintendo makes a profit. If they start losing profit, if that is a failure, I think that we might actually see, you guys are going to have to prepare yourselves, grab your pacemakers, and just don't throw up all over the place. They may make the decision to become a third-party developer. They may stop making hardware altogether moving forward, or at least home consoles. I don't think that it's absolutely insane to think so. I mean, for so long, I was on board with the idea that, oh, they would never become a third-party developer. And what I will stand by is that they definitely don't want to become a third-party developer. And I think that they have been fighting tooth and nail to not do that, and I think that they will continue to do so. The brilliant thing is, you know, yes, we know they made so much money with the Wii last generation. At least they're not losing money right now. So if the Wii or the NX does become a failure, depending on the level of failure, they may not have to become a third-party developer. It's entirely possible they still are able to move forward with another generation. I mean, I don't really know how much money they have. You don't really know how much money they have, as much as we can say, oh, they got $100 billion in the bank. Duh. None of us know that shit. I don't know it. You don't know it. We know they did very well, and that's great, and I'm sure that it's helping them invest a lot of money into the NX and their future business model. I think it's going to help them be successful. But if somehow it isn't, we don't know how much money they have to keep themselves afloat. So maybe it would obviously be a case-by-case basis too. I mean, if the NX fails, it depends on what level it fails. So if it fails miserably, like the Wii U level or worse, I would think it's a very good chance they may stop making hardware moving forward. If they fail, if they maybe sell the 20 to 30 million units and it's more like a GameCube kind of thing, that could be enough where I think there's enough of a gray area where they could do either or. That might even still lead them more into making hardware going forward. But, you know, what if it does Wii U numbers and they really have to consider stopping making hardware? I think it's possible, you guys. And I hate that. I don't want it. Oh my God, no, do I not want it? I think that the video game, the landscape of gaming today in 2016 and in the 2000s, this new millennium, is so much better for having Nintendo as a part of it. Making hardware, doing crazy ideas, taking risks. Heaven forbid a company takes a risk. You can hate the gamepad or the Wii remote or the 3DS or whatever, all you want, that is fine. But you know what? Those motherfuckers are taking risks. They're being ballsy and gutsy, and they're putting themselves out there and say, you know, we believe enough in trying to do something new and different and create new ways to play that even if we fail, we're dedicated to that because we think we can help provide and find, through some failures, you end up finding the perfect brand new experience that hopefully people love. And maybe, I don't think it will be, but what if virtual reality turns out to be it? What if that's the other thing that catches on and it wasn't one of Nintendo's ideas? I'll tell you anything, yes, virtual reality goes back decades, but I think Nintendo's brazenness and ability to kind of change the landscape made these other companies feel comfortable trying to do something like this, and it will be building off of the building blocks of what Nintendo has done, even though, yes, you know, Sony and Oculus Rift will deserve full credit for making hardware that people enjoy and buy, and I'm happy to give them that credit if that happens. It goes to show that new ideas, I think, would still have a place. But I don't really think VR is going to catch on. I'm not trying to diss VR. I just don't think it's going to catch on. But we'll see. I'm definitely curious to try it. But, you know, I think that we can't forget how important it is to have a company that tries and a company that is also so good at making hardware, like hardware that runs very well, doesn't break very often, has a very unique operating system, you know, does all these cool things. And the other guys, as much as I really like Sony and Microsoft, I love my PS4, I love my Xbox One, I like my PC, you know that I do, I have to appreciate what Nintendo brings to the table. And the gaming industry, like I said, is better for it. It keeps people on their toes. No one garners the kind of attention with a good or a bad idea that Nintendo does. I mean, if Sony's next thing is like the most horrible, worst idea, people are going to be like, ha, Sony, you suck, brabba, and then they'll move on. But Nintendo, when they have a bad idea, it's a big deal, and it keeps eyes focused on them, and it also, I think, keeps them relevant. It keeps them important. It keeps us on the it keeps us, as Ms. T likes to say, the mind share of Nintendo grows and grows with good or bad ideas coming from a company like Nintendo. I wish Sony or Microsoft could achieve the same thing because I do like them, but they just can't. They don't have that pull. They don't have that magnetic attraction that a company like Nintendo does. Even its haters. The haters are probably more interested in Nintendo than us Nintendo fans, and that's a really weird thing, and I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. I guess it's probably a good thing, but anyway, the whole point, this whole diatribe is about me making the point that Nintendo's creativity is important, so I'd hate to lose them. And because of that, the fact that I think it's entirely possible that a Wii U level failure of the NX could lead to them no longer making hardware makes me sad, you guys. I'm just trying to guess and pseudo predict the future. I'm not trying to will the future to happen. I don't want this. You know, I'm not clamoring for the death of the Wii U and for Nintendo. But I think that we have to be realistic. This is me trying to be an adult and realistic about this and approaching it from the perspective of, well, I think it's entirely possible that that would happen. But there are other factors that come into play. Like if it fails, they might not just leave the console and hardware market. They may go to a new avenue. And this is where it gets a little bit scary. And again, I don't think that this will happen, but it could. What if their mobile stuff has taken off so much in these next few years where the NX becomes a thing that really doesn't do so well, but the mobile stuff starts to do better and better, maybe even really well, just a guess? They may lean more towards that. They may say, wow, we can't make console hardware. We can't make boxes and machines that hook up to people's TVs and keep thinking of new controllers if we're not going to get the support we need from third parties, and so people aren't buying them. We will always buy their games. Nintendo, we will always buy your games. Every Zelda you make, every Mario you make, when you finally make Metroid again, when you make your great games, we will buy them. But the hardware is different. Obviously, people bought Mario Kart and Smash Brothers like crazy, but not a lot of people bought the Wii U. So obviously, even if we're buying their software, they may say, hey, we're not selling enough of our boxes, we have to stop doing this. So they may say, well, we're just going to become a handheld developer, and maybe they also make some games for, you know, Sony and Microsoft's next machines, and whatever happens there, maybe they start making PC games. Crazy thought, I know. But they may also just become a handheld developer. Maybe the new iterations of the 3DS and their next handhelds, if they could keep maintaining that business going forward in the mobile market, which I think they can, then that's probably what they'll do. And in fact, they may even infuse the mobile stuff into their handheld. I mean, I even saw like a random post or something about a joke about a Nintendo phone. I mean, literally, they may become a handheld-only developer, and their handheld hardware in the future may become something that's also like a phone, a Wi-Fi device, a tablet, something that allows you to do the things that your iPads and our iPhones and our Droid Galaxies and all these other things do. Like, what if that's what they do? If the mobile stuff continues to take off in a world where the Nintendo NX also is not a success, I think that's a possible thing that could happen. I shudder to think of that future, and it makes me almost want to consider giving up on gaming. I wouldn't, because again, I still like the other guys enough to keep gaming, but what a sad world we would live in if something like this did happen. I'm all for Nintendo having success in the mobile market, mostly because my ultimate feeling, and I'm going to wrap up here. Again, my feeling is I don't want this to happen, nor do I think it will. I am happy to sit here and tell you I think the NX is going to do pretty well. I think it's going to be great. I think Nintendo has learned the correct lessons. It's going to implement the right decisions and business models and ideas to attract third parties going forward. I think the NX is going to rock. I also think the mobile stuff is going to continue to do very well for them, and they're going to just be doing great, hopefully making money hand over fist in the next 5 or 6 years again, and everything will be awesome. And we've got weird mobile things for Nintendo making the money, but they're doing great with their console, and they're in future handhelds and all their software and all these things again. That's what I think will happen. But that's not a guarantee. That's not a lock. I don't actually have a crystal ball that works that I'm using to predict this future. It's just a theory. So, you know, if the worst of the worst happens, I think that we have to keep an open mind to what may end up happening. But you know, this is just me posing the question to myself and then to you guys, because I do want to hear you kind of ruminate on this idea now that I've put it out there. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. You've heard me discuss what I think may or may not happen. You know, just like I said, there's a possibility they may end up leaving the hardware market. Depending on the level of the failure in the gaming landscape and the success of their mobile stuff, they may still be able to continue and make future hardware after the NX, even if it doesn't succeed. But it depends on all these weird factors. I just like to theorize and kind of speculate and just put some ideas out there and hear you guys talk about it. So tell me below what you think about my ideas and predictions about what may happen if the Nintendo NX were to unfortunately be a failure, even though I don't think it will. Keep reminding you guys that I don't think it's going to be. But what do you think would happen? Like, what if the NX didn't succeed? Do you think that they would, like I said, do you think that they would become a third-party developer or stop making hardware? Do you think that they would become a handheld and or mobile developer? You know, I didn't really discuss too much the ideas of them actually becoming a third-party developer, and what if that was their main focus going forward? What if they didn't move forward with the handheld stuff and they just made mobile games, and they made games that would show up on Sony and Microsoft stuff, or even PC? Like I said, I could see them doing really great things with PC. It would be a weird world. It would be a very, very weird world. I don't think that they would do what some people have said, where they just shut down altogether and they sell their properties, and Sony picks up The Legend of Zelda and Microsoft picks up Metroid, and who knows what happens with Mario, things like that. Like a THQ fire sale. I don't see that happening ever. I think that Nintendo will always be able to keep themselves afloat at the worst of the worst of the worst case scenario, because our software sells so much. They could easily be the level of Electronic Arts or Activision in terms of how successful they are as a third-party developer, and I think the amount of money and revenue they'd make for themselves and the platforms they're making their games available for, they could easily survive as a third-party developer. But they don't want to do that, and I don't want them to do that, and more than likely, you don't want them to do that. Nintendo haters out there may, because the Nintendo haters are the ones who actually secretly, they would never admit this out loud, but they know Mario's great, they know Zelda's great, they know Metroid's great, they know this. They love this shit. A lot of them grew up playing freaking Pokemon, and they just won't touch Nintendo's hardware because it just isn't cool. But as soon as Nintendo would like sell their favorite company, The Legend of Zelda, they'd be picking that shit up day one, and they'd be so happy, and they'd be in comment threads, ha ha ha, look what I got. I got Legend of Zelda. Yeah, that's what would happen. So anyway, I'm going to shut up. I got to end this video before I keep going and tangenting too much more. But, you know, tell me what you guys think. What do you think would happen? Obviously, I don't think it's going to, but it's interesting to talk about. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. And this is Rob of Rule to Review. I'll catch you next time on another video.